cuts everything I wanted to when I listen to it. I'm just like jamming to it every
I love
time.
it.
But,
it's
hey
great.
guys, and welcome. Episode 11 of the DrumQuig Podcast. And I'm joined by a very special guest. And if you notice, I'm sporting some very special swag here. And this is from this guy. So the Jerseys for Drummers, Flooded Studios, Joe Beausoleil. I know I said it right that time. So welcome, Joe.
Hello, Matt. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate being here tonight.
Not a problem. I will say, like, this is probably one of the quickest turnarounds for like building that friendship and building that, that connection between the two, because like this thing is perfect. It's literally awesome. Yeah. It's one of a kind. Like there's, me and Dad are the only two who have this particular one in the entire world. And that to me is so special. So kind of talk about how you got into, jerseys for drummers, but like starting with yourself, like where did that influence come and where did that idea come for you to start something like this?
Well, I mean, I've been a musician since I was about probably 15 or so. So I've been gigging for off and on for 25 years, I guess, somewhere around there. If I do the math, somewhere around there. And so I had, posters of musicians on my wall as a kid. I had a couple of different instruments that were around the room, so I could always kind of play. But I went to school for graphic design. I studied in Toronto at Humber College. And when I finished, I got into doing sports apparel. So I would do lots of like softball and paintball jerseys. I've probably, I don't know, in the first couple of years of my business, I probably did a few thousand jerseys.
Holy cow.
And then the Dave Matthews Band, I've been a fan of Carter's playing in the Dave Matthews Band since 95 or 6 or something.
Yeah, me too. I think I was 8.
Yeah. I worked at a music store here locally in Midland, Ontario, Canada. And every Friday or other Friday when I'd get a paycheck, I'd go up to the record store. And my buddy Jay worked up there. And I would say, like, just give me a couple of CDs of whatever. And I think one of the CDs that he suggested was the Dave Matthews Band.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I discovered that, it was just like a whole new world of stuff, right? But I would have Dave Matthews Band and Korn and Tool posters. So it was quite a mix of inspiration. So fast forward to me graduating college and doing softball and paintball jerseys. And I was going to see the Matthews Band for my first time in 2012. And then I was hooked. So in 2013, I thought I'm going to make myself a jersey that has my last name on it, that has the Toronto skyline on it. And I took some of the art assets that the Matthews Band was using for their tour promos that year. And I thought I'm going to make myself a jersey and wear it to a show. And for whatever reason, I had this crazy idea to design a jersey for Carter as well. I don't know, this guy from, small town, I've got 16,000 people in town, like it's ever going to happen, right? So I ended up meeting up with Jeff Coffin the night before the Toronto show. And those of you who don't know, Jeff is the sax player for the Dave Matthews Band. And we chatted a little bit, and through just good luck, he took the jersey and gave it to Carter. So the next night at the Toronto show, just like that, we had a great chat. Jeff's a super nice dude. We've met up a number of times since then, since 2013. But so the next day we go to the Toronto show and I'm wearing my jersey and people are saying, "Oh, where'd you get the jersey?" I was like, I made it, whatever. And we'll watch on stage. Maybe Carter's going to have one. And he walked out and he didn't wear it. And I thought, that's fine. Jeff threw it out or Jeff didn't give it to him. Cause I'm sure those guys get bugged all the time. Can you give this to Dave? Can you give this to whoever? And I let it be what it would be. Maybe Carter got it and it didn't fit. I was just guessing at the size and whatever. A few weeks later, I think it was in Florida. I saw a picture in the middle of the night of Carter wearing the jersey. And that was it. All I wanted was one wear. That was it. I had done all I went for, done all I had tried. And so throughout the next year, I connected with Carter's drum tech, Henry, and, through different avenues and social media and whatnot. And so the following year in 2014, when they played in Toronto, I was invited on the stage to kind of check out Carter's kit. And I brought another couple of jerseys as a thank you, like for all the kind of great feedback and stuff I got for the year. That was a Tuesday night. And I only remember that because on the Friday, my phone rang and it was Henry. And he said, "Carter wants to know if you want to be his designer." I was like, how did I go from one jersey that was just a dream to suddenly I'm Carter's jersey designer.
That's
And
wild.
what blows my mind is that's the first drummer I ever designed for, and it went from 0 to 100.
But you put yourself out there. You literally showed up in the jersey, which is funny because we were talking about this, and I'm going to see the Aristocrats on Tuesday, which is my
Mhm.
birthday, so it's even better because this is the second time I get to see Marco in 2 years on my birthday. I really love
Amazing.
their tour schedule, so if you guys are listening, keep that up. I will be
Yeah.
there. But I'm gonna
Well,
wear
happy
this.
birthday on Sean then. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear this to the show on Tuesday. So I'm excited because it's like what you just said is what if he goes, "Hey, what is that? Where'd you get that? I got you covered." And you
Mhm.
brought a beer. We talked about this.
We did.
Cheers. That looks
Cheers.
great. What did you drink? What did you bring? Like,
So there's a brewery that's about 45 minutes from here called Norse. See if I can get that
yeah.
in the camera. It's
Oh,
a red
oh,
ale,
red ale.
and
One of my
it's
favorites.
delicious. They have 4 or 5 different brews on the go right now. I guess I was up there a few weeks ago to get some. But as I mentioned to you, my buddy and I do a stream on Sunday nights doing CCGs, and we have to have a craft beer every Sunday when we do it. So
And I love the support for local. And that kind of just goes back to like I'm still trying to process how you made a jersey, brought one with you and said, maybe I'll take this.
yeah,
Like I you guys who anyone who's watched the show, I talk about Stub Forge a lot because you don't get physical concert tickets anymore. Nobody makes them. When you order tickets, they're all on your phone. You don't have any mementos anymore. You can just pull up a
mhm,
history and oh, there you go. And what I started doing at shows is instead of just ordering them for me, I order like 10 of them and I bring them in holders. And I just walk around to people during the concert. And I'm like, here you go. Here you go. And number one, I didn't pay for a single drink the last concert I went to. Everyone's like, let me buy it. I don't want anything from it. I just wanted that experience
yep,
until I got to give a set to a band. There was the band Capstan. We had come across them, believe it or not, through a rickshaw driver when we were trying to leave the Rolling Stones concert, who told us he was in a band. And I was like, all right, what's the name of your band?
huh,
And he told us. And I looked him up like the next day and I said, oh, they're playing in Tampa next month. I said, let's go. We go there. He walks by, he turns around, he looks at me, he goes, oh my God, you're here. Like he recognized me. And so we've seen him 3 times. So the third time I brought him tickets to the first show we went to, the second and the third. And I gave them to the band. And I said, you guys do whatever you want. And they were so emotional about it. And I said, it's a small gesture. And I think about it, what you did was a small gesture for you. You weren't trying to
mhm.
make it, you weren't, oh, look at me. You were like, I just hope he wears it.
Yeah, once, and I
Yeah,
figured
fun.
he'd wear it in Toronto since it had the skyline of Toronto on the back of
Well, he
it.
wore it
And
in
since
Florida
he
because
didn't wear it, I was like,
Florida.
well, yeah. So, but there's a Canadian band called Bahamas, and a friend of mine, Alex, is an amazing painter, and she kind of reached out to me. And we were talking about this kind of exact thing that you just sometimes have to do it and put
Yeah.
it out there. And so she painted a picture of the singer, and then went to a show and tried to get it to him, and she got it to a crew member or whatever. And then a week or two later, he's doing a video on social media, and what's in the background but her picture, the painting that she did. So she's like, oh my God, this like, it happens. People do this. Reach out to the artists that you love and try if there's something that you can offer that's unique, because they love that their fans pay attention.
Yeah. And I think
Yep.
people underestimate some of the bands. There's certain artists out there, I'm not going to name anybody, who don't give it. They don't give it. They want the money, they want it, they want the fame,
Mhm.
that's it. We going back to a couple episodes ago when Alex Petropoulos was on the show from Pigeons Playing Ping Pong. That was one of those moments where I reached out after we had met at a show and I was like, "Hey, do you want to do this podcast?" He was like, "Oh, absolutely." I went, "That's it?" Like there's no like I don't have to go through like a
Alex is
manager.
such a good dude. Yep.
Oh, I love him. And it was funny because
Yeah.
we talk about the Pigeons poster that's right there. I was like, I didn't put this up just for your show. I said, I promise it was already there. People could already see it. But one of those things where I learned that years ago. I started doing MMA coverage 2009, 2010, and I realized the power of social media. I realized that Instagram at the time, not so much, but Twitter at the time was the way to get a hold of somebody because they did all their own Twitters. And I get interviews and people are like, "How did you do that?" I go, "I just reached out. That's it." And I feel like so many people are afraid to reach out. Oh, they won't read my comment. They won't talk. They might.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I love your story, like not knowing that that's how it started. I love that it happened in Florida because obviously I'm in Florida and I've got to see Dave twice. He was a bucket list concert for me. My
Yep.
dad showed me, Crash, Under the Table, and Dreaming. I couldn't have been. God, Under the Table came out in '92 and Crash came out in '94. So, I mean, I was well versed in that by the time Crash came out. And I still think to this day, sorry, Dave, Crash is my least favorite song on that album. But that was always a thing. And every time they came, I was like, I don't have the money. I can't afford it. Can't afford it. Finally, in 2021, I said, they were coming. I was like, we are going to this show. And I just remember being blown away. And then fast forward to a year later, they're playing at Innings Fest. So I got to see him again. And I was like,
oh, amazing.
Your head explodes because Carter's 62,
Yeah.
63 at this point, and he is just killing it. Absolutely killing it. And I think what he did for you shows his character even more. I mean, the guy loves music, loves the fans. The whole band loves. They care about things.
To talk about Carter and his personality, I went to Cleveland, I think, to see the band play. And Henry came out to grab me at one point, and he said, "Come with me. We're going to see Carter." And so I've met the man once, and I walked on his tour bus, and the first thing he did was give me a hug and tell me thank you. And I'm like, hold on a minute, like you've changed the whole trajectory of my entire life as far as my business goals go and everything else, and you're thanking me, right? He's an incredible man to talk to. So kind. He just I can't say anything bad about him.
Oh. Sorry, I was going to make a Canada joke, but that would be kind of mean. You're all so nice. No.
Well, we try.
Until hockey season starts, and then we're mortal enemies. That's how that works. So
that's fair. That's fair. And talking about Alex earlier, Alex wears flooded jerseys as well. Yeah. So when I saw he was one of your guests, I got very excited.
Yeah, and the thing about Alex is that we told the story, but anybody who didn't watch the episode, like I brought a poster too because the first time I went, I saw somebody with one, and I realized I had to hold on to the poster the entire show. You can't leave the venue. And it's outdoors. So if it starts raining, like your poster's gone. And I called the venue. I said, "Hey, can I bring a poster tube?" They said, "What's in it?" I said, "A poster." I said, "Yeah, that's fine." So I show up and I brought, my ticket that I had made, and I brought the ticket that I had gotten for this current show. And I saw Alex up at the top with Greg. And I looked up and I made the motion after the show like I was going to throw the tube to the second story. And Greg laughs. And Alex goes, no, I'll come down. And I went, what? So I have the picture with him, and he signed, the tickets, and he signed the poster. And I just remember thinking, like, it's so cool. Like, just for me to go from that moment, and anybody who, again, watches that episode, I fanboyed the hell out of that one because I was excited. That was a band that I found by accident, a band that I later found out played at somewhere I go frequently now, and I had just missed them because I didn't know who they were.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many bands you find now. I talk about Aquios being one of those bands that I don't think they're touring anymore, but I found them because I clicked on the wrong date when I was looking for concert tickets. I clicked on the 26th instead of the 25th, and I was like, what's this band? And I looked them up and I went, I'll listen to them. And I listened to them, and I regret to this day that I didn't go see them, but it would have been 2 concerts back to back. And I'm like, I don't know if I can handle it anymore.
Yeah, we're about 2 hours north of Toronto. And so the big shows that are coming, it's always a bit of a stretch because by the time you get out of the venue and drive out, get through traffic and home, you're 2:30 in the morning. So it's tough, but we've got a few concerts lined up for this summer, and I'm really excited to go, despite the travel.
What are the concerts? Now I got to know.
On what day was it? Sunday night. We saw Alanis Morissette and Joan Jett.
Oh, yeah, I missed that show.
Alanis Morissette has huge range, like so much power. I mean, she's Canadian as well, so there's some hometown pride.
Of course.
But the I didn't realize how much power and control she actually had in her voice. Incredible. And Joan Jett still sounds as good now as she did 25 years ago.
Which is insane if you really think about it. And it's the bands that you see, and we talked about this a little bit, getting to see Santana play and getting to see Cindy Blackman play and do that drum solo at the end. And I was just like, a drum solo at the end blew my mind. I said, because that's never where it is. You never put it at the beginning, you never put it at the end. It's halfway through, it's 3/4 of the way through. It's not what ends it so that you can do an encore. Like, that's not how that works. And Alex and I talked about the drum solo. He's like, a drum solo should carry the music. It should give you, the high and low, the ups and downs. And I said, it shouldn't just be there to be there. We gotta take a break. Just do a drum solo. It doesn't have the same feel to it. Now, granted, as a drummer, I will never complain about any drum solo ever, but it is what it is.
Remind me to send you a link later. In high school, we did. I was playing in the big band, and we did Sing Sing Sing.
Oh my god!
And so I was drumming in the band at that time. And halfway through the solo, at the start of the solo, the whole band leaves the stage, and they just leave me on the stage. Halfway through the solo, the cymbal stand falls over in the middle of the kit. So one of the horn players decides to pick up the stand to help me, and the stand falls apart back in the middle of the kit. And all you can do is kind of shrug and work around it. But I'll send you that link later on.
Oh yeah, I definitely want to see that.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you're just like, what am I gonna do? And I think
exactly.
You see that you mentioned Tool earlier, and it just put it in my mind when Danny Carey breaks his snare and he's looking at the drum tech and he's like, and he's still playing the song, and instead of the snare, he's just hitting one of the toms a little bit harder just to do something. And I'm like, and the drum tech just comes in, puts a new snare in, good to go. Those are the unsung heroes that nobody talks about. Anybody who's had to put it together, who's had to take it down, break it down, or had to stand there and hold a cymbal stand because the rest of it fell apart. We've all seen that. So
Renee Martinez did that for Stevie Ray Vaughan live one time. Stevie Ray broke a string during a song, and Renee came out with the next guitar, held it up, held the guitar, put the strap on, and during that 6 bars, Stevie took a break. And then Renee walked off and Stevie dug back into the solo. Like, to have crew like that, so responsive, and like Danny's tech, it's crazy.
It's amazing. So I want to kind of talk about what happened after the Carter blow up. Having Carter reach out and be your, ask you to be the designer going forward. What did that do for you personally and professionally? Because it seems like it kind of blew up overnight.
Well, in that sense, it did, because that suddenly made me go like, oh, I can do this. Like, jerseys wasn't a big deal. I'd been making jerseys now for some time. For 3 or 4 years, I had been doing jerseys. But now to tap into a market that actually meant something personally to me was super cool. So I reached out to a few drummers and either got no response or got, I'm not really a jersey guy, which is also totally fine, right? Not everybody is into jerseys. Actually, talking about concerts I'm going to is on Saturday, we're going down to see Train. And Matt Musty, who's playing with those guys, is the nicest guy on the planet. Doesn't wear jerseys, but for whatever reason, we clicked and we've chatted fairly regularly over the past number of years. So I'm excited to see him as well. But as far as the growth goes, I reached out to some drummers I wanted to work with, and some of them turned into stuff, some of them didn't. Alex being one. And then you look back at some of the heroes you had as a kid. Like, I had John Schwartz wearing my jersey, who's the drummer for Weird Al Yankovic, who has been playing with Weird Al since the beginning. And that only happened a year and a half ago, I guess. But for me, it was like, one of my childhood kind of core memories translated into that, right? So it gave me the confidence to really just reach out to who I wanted to. And kind of as a result of that, do a little bit of merch design. I did merch concept work for Bass Nectar. It was like a I don't want to say trance, but like um, electronic music. There's the word.
You have to think
And
of
I
the
was
appropriate
fortunate enough,
term.
exactly. I was fortunate enough to be on the merch design team during Taylor Swift's Reputation tour. There were a few designers that were on that, and I kind of fell into that one a little bit. My work didn't get picked for the final production run, like for production merch, but just to be in that little group and considered was a huge thing. After that happened, like that night, I submitted the designs for concepts. We went out for dinner, um, and I had made a list. I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I could work with, we'll say, Justin Timberlake and Korn and whoever and this band and that band. And my buddy looked at me and goes, "That's not a joke list anymore, dude. Those are
No,
potential clients."
if you
And something about that clicked, and it changed my entire perspective on what I could do.
there's not a lot
And
of times
now
I
it's
don't have
just
anything to say, but that's a moment where you're like,
yeah.
so I just think David Silveira and Ray Luzier, like we've got two different corn drummers,
Mhm.
but David Silveira was our childhood growing up, and
Right.
it's funny because I talk about Metallica's Black Album being the first album I ever bought, but the first CD I ever owned, I think the statute of limitations ran out on this one. We should be okay. When they used to send out the mailers, there were like 12 CDs for a penny.
Yeah.
My brother and I ordered them, not knowing we had to have a credit card. So I remember they sent it to us, and I got Korn's "Follow the Leader,"
Yep.
and everything about that album changed like my perspective on music and everything else. But I remember my parents found it and they sent everything back, but I still had the CD. And I was like, well, they don't have my credit. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. I thought years later I would get a bill and they'd be like, you owe us $12. But yeah, everything about that album, and it's so funny, with Korn, and then getting into Dave Matthews, getting into Brian Setzer, getting into
Mhm.
Dream Theater, and just seeing like the way that your music changes. So obviously, Portnoy wearing jerseys, so he's a Jersey guy, and now he's back
Yep.
in Dream Theater, and I'm
Mhm.
super pumped for this. I'm super pumped and I'm super scared because I feel like this is it for them. I feel like this is its 40th anniversary. They randomly bring him back after, you know, what was it, 13 years, 14 years to come back out of nowhere. And I went, oh, this is the end. I was like, this is it. But I'm thankful for it because,
Yeah.
Scenes from a Memory changed my life as a drummer. It changed my life as a person, like everything about that album. And I was 10, maybe
Right.
12 when I got it, 10 when it came out. And I remember my dad handed it to me and he had listened to the other stuff and he said, I'm not really a fan of this, but I think you'll like it. And I don't like, we talk about how that trajectory just changed everything. And it's like listening to Symphony X and listening to that, and then finding guys like Pigeons Playing Ping Pong, which thanks to
Mhm.
Spotify randomly came up one day and I went, that's pretty catchy.
I dig it. Yeah.
And then I've got to see, Alex play twice and I'm going, this is really good. And I told Alex, I was like, I don't mean to be mean. I was like, I knew you were a good drummer. I was like, but watching that solo, like you are a technical drummer. That was a
Yeah.
very purposeful drum solo. It wasn't just, okay, let me do something. And, we talk about that. So other than, Carter, who was another influence for you? So I'm going to bring it back because I've been talking a lot now because
Sure.
I'm still like blown away by a simple gesture was life changing, was something you never thought could
It
happen.
really
So like,
was. Yep.
I want to know more about this guy who jumped up there. So like what else was going on for you?
So you mentioned David Severus. So he actually does have one of my jerseys, but not from Korn. So when he was playing with Core 10,
Okay.
which was kind of the post Korn, one of the
Yeah.
bands that he played with, um, I ended up reaching out. Well, I reached out to the vocalist of Core 10 and said like, "Hey, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm trying to get a hold of David." And so we started talking about jerseys, and then it ended up there's a photo somewhere on my Facebook, and it's the whole band of Core 10 wearing a matching set of jerseys I designed for them. And so it's like, okay, so I got David Silveria, I had posters on my walls. I got Carter Beauford, I had posters on the wall. I haven't hit Danny Carey yet. I'm working on it. But
Gonna
then,
see
like,
him in September with the King Crimson tour. So I'm
oh,
pretty
wow.
stoked about that because I haven't got to see Tool yet. Never got to see Danny Carey play, but I was like, Danny Carey's playing. I'm gonna go to that show.
Yeah, and you have to.
Yeah.
But so it really, and so far, all the drummers that I've reached out to have been drummers who I've admired personally, or bands that I've kind of followed for a while, right? And I've been super lucky that way. I always feel, and I say this to some friends too, is I always feel like I'm name dropping when I have conversations like this because
No, I straight up told you to
you,
do it. Like
yeah,
I straight up told you to do it. Like it's okay.
because you even mentioned with Dream Theater, right? And so Mangini wears my jerseys. We've we got to hang out in Hamilton at a show and hung out backstage, and he's got a couple of my jerseys, and that's just again one of those you never believe that's going to happen.
No. Which is weird because
So
that means more than likely I've seen him wearing one of your jerseys at one of the shows I've been to. And
yeah,
now it's really
he's
just
worn them a
him.
lot over the past bunch of years. So
And I think I've seen them now since 2008. I've seen Dream Theater 6 times, 6 or
okay,
7. And that's, I've seen, I saw him once with Portnoy. Everything else has been with Mangini. They did Scenes from a Memory. I actually saw that in North Carolina with my dad when he lived there. When they go for this last tour, if there's a show in Kentucky, we're going to the show in Kentucky. There's a show in Florida, we're going to the show. Like it's happening. There's
yeah.
but it's now I'm gonna go back and look through my pictures and see if any of them have the jersey. Like this is really good. Now
So
I've got
his
homework to do.
the jerseys we did for him had a theta symbol,
Okay.
or it had a spiral with we did the figures of pi 3.141592.6 blah, blah blah, and it keeps spiraling down on the jersey. And all that's on the Facebook page or Instagram as well.
Dude. And that's cool because I've looked through them all, but I just in that moment didn't process. Obviously, I didn't know who, that you existed 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. But now knowing that I've probably seen it, it's pretty amazing. And it's that full circle thing you were talking about. Like
Mhm.
one night changed everything.
Yep. And let me
So
tell you, every time I go to a show, like I've seen the Matthews Band now 32 times, something like that. And every single time that my logo goes on the big screen, I lose my mind
oh yeah.
because it's so unbelievable as a fan. It has nothing to do with me and what I do for work. It's just as a fan, how did I do that?
Like, what was it the next day after you got up after that call? Was it like, did that really happen? Was I dreaming that? Like, was it really like, did it really sink in right away when he called for to be the designer? Because I mean, now 32 times, that's that's insane, dude. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
No, the day I saw Carter wearing the jersey, it was like 3 a.m. and I was sleeping on the floor in my buddy's place in Toronto because I had some. I was an extra in a music video and whatever that I was doing in Toronto, and I couldn't sleep because I was excited about that. And so I'm just scrolling Instagram, and I think maybe Jeff had posted a picture, and I was like, "That's." And I couldn't yell, I couldn't scream, I couldn't let anybody know because everybody in the house was sleeping. Uh, so the next morning, I had to get up and go and just be like, Carter. No, I had to search again for more images just to verify it. Like, is that really what's going on here? But the day that I got the phone call was I kind of hung up because first of all, it came up as his name on my phone because we had texted and stuff before. And when it came up as Henry's name on the phone, I thought, oh, why is he calling? And I answer and he asked me, and I was just like, yeah, of course. Like, there's no question about that. But it was very difficult to not go like, yeah, 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 yeah.
You mean
Just like,
yeah, I mean, I guess so. I guess so.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
I can fit you in.
Yeah, let's play cool, man. Play cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. So
amazing.
that, like I said, that was a moment that kind of made me go, oh, I can do the thing that really makes me happy.
That's crazy. So I'm gonna ask you the question everyone's probably asked you: Who's on your bucket list? Like, who are like three guys that you're like, these are the people? Like Danny Carey, I think is one of them
Oh,
already.
Danny Carey for sure. Um,
I thought
Definitely
you
Ray
had a
Luzier.
list. I thought you were literally about to pull out a list and be like, actually,
There we go. No, Ray Luzier, of course, is on there, right at the top, and Mike Reed, who's playing with Justin Timberlake.
interesting.
Yeah,
Why him? I'm just curious. Why him? Like, obviously,
because
anybody
he's
who
a
plays
he's a
backing drummer.
solid player.
Yeah,
Just following over the years, watching any interviews, watching little clips and whatnot, his playing is stellar, and just he seems just like a good dude. And like I said, so far I've been lucky enough to work with the people that I've admired. Um, so I figure I'll keep going with that kind of mentality.
I think that's why it works. You're not just some guy who showed up with a jersey and you're like, I hope I get famous. I hope I make money. I don't really care. Like, whatever. Like, this meant a lot to you. And I think when you put
It did.
that kind of passion behind it,
Mhm.
people can see that. You didn't just show up with like a hand-drawn jersey that was like, hey, wear this. You weren't expecting it. You didn't have VIP. You weren't expecting anything from that
Not at all.
other than
No.
here it is. This is what I this is what I do.
Yeah. Please wear it tomorrow. Please in Toronto wear it tomorrow. Right. That, like I said, that's the big thing is I wanted him to wear it once. He now has like 60, more than 65 jerseys. Like Carter has more than 65 different jerseys I've designed for him.
That's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
that's so cool. We always talk about I think I've mentioned this so many times. As a kid, I listened to Say Goodbye and I go, I'm gonna learn how to play that one day. I'm gonna learn how to play that. And it's been 30 years and I still can't play it. Like the hot rod movement that he did, like what he did in that moment. And I said, that's a
Mhm.
testament to a drummer right there. When you did something 30 years ago and I've been listening to it for that long and I'm still like, I can't
Nope.
even keep up on the pad. Like, no, no, you just, oh my God, it's stuck in my
I
head now.
keep
That's
I
all I
keep
can do.
wishing for a new instructional DVD to come out. And then I pause and I'm like, why? You haven't even mastered 5% of the first one. So why do you want a new one already? It's
I
like
think
I
that's how it
just want
felt about
something. Yeah.
Liquid Tension when you watch Portnoy do his stuff and you're just like, no, 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 I give up. No, no. It was hard enough learning Dance of Eternity or anything like that. You're just like Overture 1928 and you go, his hand was here, his hand was here. You like lose track of what you're doing. And I think that's what's so funny about drumming is that you can hear it, you can visualize it, you can
Mhm.
practice it. Trying to play that stuff is just wild. And I commend everybody who's able to do that. And especially Carter, because when you talk about influential drummers in my life, Carter's always on the top five. It's
Mhm.
always there.
Yep.
I think on the first episode we actually did a top six, and none of us realized that we did six people. We're like, give us your top five, and we're all like, yeah, this person. And I'm like, it's Portnoy, it's Copeland, it's Carter, it's Lars, and everybody gets mad at that one. But I'm like, and it's Jordan Mancino makes his way on the list, and most people don't know who that is. But As I Lay Dying, like that was my introduction to metal, and
Yep.
hearing drums played a different way, and Matt Greiner from August Burns Red, like
Mhm.
playing drums a different way. So for you,
Again,
like
name dropping. Matt wears my jerseys too. It's, you know what? I'll again, I keep referencing the socials because that's where most of the stuff is found. But if you go to the Flooded Studios page on Facebook, I put a thank you note together a couple of months ago, listing all the main drummers who were representing, or that I guess I represent. I don't want to say they represent me, but that wear the gear, and to have bands like Jack White and Shawn Mendes and August Burns Red, Chicago, Iron Maiden, like all those bands to have wearing my gear just blows my mind.
You got Nico. See, so
Mhm.
there's my Eddie are up there, or my trooper pilot. So
Yeah,
that was the thing for me this year is I got to interview Bruce.
amazing.
And it was literally through work. One of the guys I work with, we were friends on Facebook, and he's like, "Hey, anybody want to interview Bruce Dickinson?" And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." Like, and he's like, he messaged me. He goes, "Are you serious?" And I went, "Wait, were you? You were serious?" He goes, "Yeah." We scheduled the interview. I have laryngitis, like straight up, no voice.
Oh no.
I reach out and I go, "Can we please reschedule?" And they're like, "No problem. We understand." And I said, "That was it. That was my chance." And about a month goes by, and I reach back out, and they said, "Okay, we're ready to set it up." I said, "All right, nothing's going to stop it this time." I get everything squared away. The internet goes out at my house. And they're like, "Oh, we'll just do it on Zoom." I'm like, "No, there's an Iron Maiden beer right there. There's an Iron Maiden figure right there.
Mhm.
Like the DrumQuig is right there. Like, no, like I gotta do this." And I get the internet back up and running. I reset everything. I get on and it starts off, and I'm like, "We could sit here and we could talk about everything you've accomplished and everything you've achieved over the years." And he said, "Please don't." And for a split second, I went, "Oh God, this is bad." And he goes, "I need my head to fit through the door." And I went, and that was one of those moments where you're like, all you had to do was ask. And the funniest part about it was I was debating on doing it. Because I'm an Iron
Mhm.
Maiden fan, but I'm not like die hard. I wasn't, I respect the band, I love the band, but I'm never like
Yeah.
name all their albums. No, I can't do that. But I called one of my buddies and I said, "Hey, do you think I should do this?" He said, "Man, you definitely need to do this." He said, "Even if you don't know," he's like, "You're good enough at this. You could talk to him, you can have a good time." I said, "Okay." I walked into Cycle Brewery in St. Petersburg, Florida, and Iron Maiden was playing when I walked in. I kid you not. And I went, "Okay,
It's a
okay."
sign.
I'm like, "I'll do it." And the
Yep.
fact that I got 30 minutes with him and I asked him a question that he had never been asked before. And basically it was, how did you feel about, like, how did it come about that Where the Wild Wind Blows was featured in The Walking Dead? He goes, "I don't have a clue." I said, "What?" He goes, "I'm at home watching the show, like all of you when it came out." And he said, all of a sudden it starts playing. And it was like the Leonardo DiCaprio, like the meme where he's like, "Hey, hey," and he's pointing at the screen. He goes, That's my song. Like, that's me. And I just thought in my head, like, how did you not know that? Like, did nobody talk? And I was like, but that's how it is. Like,
Yeah.
it was mind blowing. And, we talk about the full circle, like going to that, it changed your life forever. And I'm so glad it did because, looking through the list, and it's like, I've seen the list on your page. And in this moment, forgot it all because everything you told me kind of just put me in a different space, like put me back to when I heard, you know, Tripping Billies for the first time or Satellite or any of those things with Carter. And I just remember just being like, this is changing. Like, this is everything to us. And then getting to see him live and the man not missing a beat
Mhm.
is insane. So I mean, I can't imagine what it's like for you 32 times just for Carter, but like, Matt Greiner, somebody I've met a few times and one of the
Mhm.
nicest people in the world. And another reason why metal is better than any other genre, just going to say this. In 2019, I spent $75 for a ticket to an August Burns Red show. That included VIP, meet and greet with the band, lanyard, picture with the band, and a book of all their tour, like through all the years, like a
Wow.
color, like nice book. And I went, "That's it. That's all it costs." And I said, the metal guys are just the nicest guys in the world. I haven't met anybody in the metal community who is, just like, "No, I don't want to talk to you." No. And
Well,
even
what's the meme? What's the meme that was going around recently? It says, "Heavy metal musicians or heavy metal fans are just nice people dressed up like mean people." Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. Perfect. And that's exactly what it comes down to is, as drummers, you look at things different ways, you hear things different ways, and everyone is like, "Oh, you're a drummer. You have that different. Your brain works differently. There's no question about it. You hear things and you go, I heard somebody playing, and somebody will figure this out, but I'm not going to say who. But somebody was playing "Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic" by Stuart Copeland for his birthday, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. And my fiance was like, I don't hear it. And I was like, oh no, there's something there that just doesn't sound right. And I can't play that song. So I'm not trying to diss this person, but I
Yeah.
was like, that's not how the song is played. Like that's not it. It almost makes you seem like that person, like you said, like name dropping and everything else. And we're not name dropping because we're trying to bolster ourselves, but you've worked hard to get this group of people that you've got. And I know we talked a little bit about I don't know if I'm allowed to say the Cindy Blackman. Like we talked about like trying to get that connection. So
Mhm.
I'm hoping that still comes about because you've done the legwork and these are people you look up to. They aren't just people you're looking to hopefully get your name out there. Like you have respect
Right.
for each one of these people. And I think that
Mhm.
shows what kind of person you are and how the business works. So
Yeah,
I would
and
like
you mentioned earlier, it's kind of like it's an overnight success that took 10 years to do, right? The initial one jersey was just like bang, but I've had to work all this time to get these other musicians to work with me, take me seriously, everything like that. But once you start getting a good portfolio and have some of these musicians, it certainly gives me a little more credibility,
oh, absolutely.
right? If I reach out to somebody and they're like, "Oh, you've worked with whomever," like Jake Summers or like Ben Satterley or Chris Reaver, whoever. Okay, well, we know those guys. We like those guys. We're gonna go talk to them and see what you do,
Yeah.
right?
Listen, I bought a jersey because you made a jersey for Carter. Like, let's be honest here. Like,
Yeah. Oh, and that's really
so
we didn't wear Nike as kids because they were the best shoes in the world. We wore them because Jordan wore them.
yeah. And to be honest, like what I was terrified because I'm like, what if I don't like the material? Like I'd never felt one and ever. And I remember putting it on and just going, this is perfect. I said, absolutely perfect. It breathes, it's light, and the amount of work that you and I went through to design it. You didn't just say, what do you want? I told you, and you said, okay, here you go. You were like, I think maybe if we tweak this, if we do this, and I feel like you put so much of yourself into it, which made it even more of an experience. So, like, absolutely love that. And I didn't get to tell you that before. So I'm telling you now, like,
Well,
this was
I
an experience.
appreciate that. I'm glad that you felt that way about the process.
Because you never know. You never know, like, how these are going to work. You get a shirt and you go,
Mhm.
we always laugh. We ordered a Buffalo Trace bag off of Wish, and it just said Buffalo Track. The E was gone completely.
Oh my gosh.
The shirt, the E was gone, and you're just like, well, I mean that's that. But you put so much of yourself into this and the pride in this, and it's like, I've been sitting in this an hour, and it doesn't feel like anything. I know somebody's gonna say that's weird, but really, it just breathes well. And as being a drummer and being one of the most active people on the stage, you have to make these perfect for them. So
Mhm.
like that has to have been a process that has been refined over 10 years to get you to the point where you're comfortable saying, I got this.
Mhm. It's funny you say that it feels like nothing. That is one of the things that Wilfredo Reyes, who plays with Chicago, he keeps telling me it's like I'm wearing nothing, and it's like his the first jersey I did. So Wally and I got chatting about jerseys one time, and I said, "Well, what do you want to see?" And you know the process now that you've got one of like, what do you want to see on it? What style of jersey? What colors? What name? What number? All that stuff. And Wally's like, "I want it to be seen by the astronauts on the space station." So I made this absolutely twisted, colorful, bizarre kind of something I'd never created before. And then when I showed him the pictures, like, "Yep, that'll do." So I sent it to him, and he was like, "This is exactly what I wanted to get." So you're right; it does come with a very high level of pride in what I'm designing as well, right? Because I don't want you just to like it because you like it. I want to like it as well.
Yeah. You want to see it and go, I did that, not I did that. Like, Like one of those things. Like, and I get that, musician. I'm also a photographer, and it's one of those things like when you walk into somebody's house and you go, oh, I took that. Like I took that right there. Like that to
Yep.
me had to have been like 100 times when you saw your logo across that screen for the first time and go,
Yep.
you're like, I knew this was coming. I know what I did. I know what it looks like, but everybody else just got to see it too.
That's right. And it's funny how it happened because I'm going to sound a little bit off the deep end here for a second. Um, when Carter wore the jersey the first time, which was 2013, I decided that year I was going to go to the Gorge because you have to see Dave Matthews at the Gorge. That just is the mecca. So being a little bit impulsive, I bought tickets for the concert, but then I thought, okay, I live in Toronto or near Toronto. The Gorge is 2.5 to 3 hours south of Seattle. How am I going to get there? So you mentioned Twitter earlier. I posted on Twitter. Does anybody want to pick me up at the airport and drive me to the Gorge? Thinking there'd be other fans who might be going, right? Well, don't a couple of people from Vancouver say, we're picking somebody else up at the airport. Why don't we pick you up too and you can ride with us? And I was like, well, I figured out how to go see the Matthews Band at the best venue in the world. And those people became really good friends of mine, all because of a tweet.
Yeah,
Again, you put it out there and you have no idea what's going to happen.
you really don't. And,
No.
I remember like the first fighter I ever interviewed, Liz Carmouche. She was a female Marine and, you know, openly gay fighter. And she was one of the first, like, there was a lot going on. And I remember I was sitting outside of a Starbucks, which is funny that Starbucks comes up again. And I was interviewing her. I had my phone here and I had the recorder here, and I just had it on speakerphone because this is, 2010. Technology wasn't exactly what it is now. And I remember her going, I really wish that we were in person. And I was like, I don't. I was like, because I'm shaking and you're not even here. And, I got to watch Liz fight, win titles, go to the UFC. And we had her on the show, the MMA podcast, recently. And it was just so cool, basically 10 years later to talk to somebody and have that. And all because of a tweet, all because of one message that said, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Yep.
Let's figure it out. And even just the last name, with the Quiggins name, having Glenn on the show a few episodes ago, we're probably related in some weird circle there because we have the same last name. We were both, my dad was adopted, he was adopted, both in Kentucky. It's wild because of this, the drummer and everything, like the way he came up and everything else. And you're just like, this is crazy how one interaction changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
One, and so for everybody out there, like, if you have that idea, if you have that dream, do it.
Absolutely.
You get shot
Yeah.
down, okay, try again. But in your
Yep.
case, you weren't even planning on trying to make that change. I feel like you were at a
Mm-mm.
crossroads without even knowing it. And they just said, go this way. It'll work out
Yep.
just fine.
After Carter wore a couple of the jerseys in the first couple of years, I thought, I want to log this. I want to kind of create a little database to see what jerseys he wears because he wears at the time he was wearing Nike and Under Armour and Adidas and all that stuff. So I started a little what was it, Twitter page and a Facebook page, and every show I would log in or go to the socials and see what jersey he wore, and I would say, this day, this venue, he wore the black Nike. This day, this venue, he wore the black Spiders jersey. This day, he wore my red jersey, or this day, he wore my blue jersey. And after a little while, it was just like my jersey, my jersey, my jersey, my jersey, Nike, my jersey, my jersey. And I thought, okay, well, this is a little bit self-serving now. So I shut down the page because it really seemed like I was just going like, hey, look what I'm doing. But then, like I said, that's what inspired me to do jerseys for drummers. Right? It's an absolute niche community,
Absolutely.
but everybody's been amazing.
That's great. Well, we could literally talk for hours, I feel like, at this point. Like, we really could. We're going to wrap up tonight, but we definitely want to have you back on. Like I said, this
Amazing. I'd be happy to.
this when I got this in the mail, I didn't want to wait. I'm literally staring at it, and I think I tried to put it on outside, like at the mailbox. Because I was like, I gotta try it. No, 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 no. And Dad loving his, and like us having these two and being a part of this family. And for anybody out there, I paid for this because I want to support people like this. You've got to support. Don't think because your friends do something that you get a discount or that you should get something for free. These are people like yourself who have worked through this and trial and tribulation, and literally you didn't just fall. You didn't make a jersey one day, the first one ever, and go, yeah, check it out. This was a process that went into this, and I was happy to support this. And like I said, when I wear this Tuesday, I'm hoping Marco sees it and goes, what is that? Where did you get that? And kind of, open that door, the best I can as basically a walking billboard, which is fine by me because it's a billboard for me, but it's also for you.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? Talking about being a fan of Carter, there are a number of the DMB fans out there in the community that have reached out the same way, who said, like, I'm a big fan of Carter's and I love the jerseys you make. Can we make some for us? And they're I don't know, if I were to say there's 50 or 60 fans wearing my jerseys out there because of the Carter tie-in, which is amazing. But I had something really humbling happen last year. I had somebody who had asked me to design some jerseys for them. They were going to go to a bunch of Dave shows. And he said, I want a jersey with the number 1 on the back and it says Beausoleil on it. I was like, why do you want my name and number 1 on it? He goes, because that's what I think your jerseys are. And I want to represent what you do just as much as I want to represent what the band does. And like, even telling it now, I get goosebumps.
I was like, I got him.
Like, you don't need to represent me. I'm just the guy who makes the shirts, right?
But you're not just making that. You're making an experience for people because people are seeing that and it's changing. Hey, where did that come from? Where's that at the merch booth? Why isn't that there? It's starting a conversation. So you're not just making a shirt. I know that's not how you think, but when you said it, I was like, take it back. Take it back. Joe, tell everybody where they can find all your stuff. Talk about the Sunday night craft beers. If I have to go buy some cards, I'd love to be a part of that because that sounds like a good night.
Sure. Well, so if you're on Instagram, you can go to at Flooded Studios to see my general kind of portfolio. Because I was doing so much jersey work, I had to create another account, which is at Jerseys for Drummers. So that way I could focus that one on the jersey stuff.
Such a horrible
thing. What a terrible burden to carry. So check out those on Instagram. There is a Jerseys for Drummers on Facebook, but I haven't really been active on it because Instagram seems to be where the traction kind of happens. But Flooded Studios on Facebook is there. You can check those out. Mentioning the Sunday night thing. So my buddy Brian and I, we run a channel on YouTube called Imperial Pulls, and we open collectible card games. So like Magic, Pokemon, Canadian game that we really love called Genesis. And that's every Sunday night at 8:00 Eastern time. But as kind of part of the fun with it is every Sunday we open a different craft beer. And a friend of mine actually opened a craft brewery a block down the road from my office, which is amazing and dangerous.
I was going to say dangerous too, yeah.
Yeah, but we do lots of Ontario craft beers. Every week we open one, try it out, give a quick, minute review of what we think of it, and then go about opening some cards. And, it's just a lot of fun for us. We get to kind of geek out a little bit and get to know that community as well.
That's an amazing tie-in because you don't think of, you know what? Nowadays you do geek and beer. Like it's a different, it's the drummer mindset. We're going to go back to it. It's a drummer mindset. You think about beer even differently. You think about those things, and you just brought me back to playing Magic the Gathering.
I'm going to grab a pack of cards here for a minute because I want to show you something else. If I can get it. No, what I wanted to run for is the tie-in to the collectible card game world is the game that I was telling you about, Genesis Battle of Champions. I actually designed the backs of these cards.
What?
So, yeah. So it's kind of fun for me as well as a player, as well as a designer and a fan. So
I'm looking it up.
I don't know when this is going up, and you can cut this part out if you want because it's a bit of a shameless plug. They are running a Kickstarter right
Sweet.
now. If you look up Genesis Battle of Champions on Kickstarter, they've got, I think, 2.5 weeks left on it, if it's something you're into. But
I'm writing it down, so anybody watching,
awesome.
listen, man. I started thinking about this the other day. I was like, has anybody made drummer playing cards? Like just drummers, not bands. Like I know for a while in the late 80s they had, but I was like, think about like opening a pack of cards and you're like, I got Carter, I got Lars, I got Portnoy. Like, how would you get the licensing rights to that? That's what I want to
Yeah,
know.
that would be a tough one.
So we'll figure this out together, Joe. We're gonna figure this out together.
There we go. Hit me up.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for being a part of this. And like I said, shameless plug or not, this thing is awesome. I'm super excited to basically wear this to any show where I feel like a drummer's going to see it.
Amazing.
I do the same thing. All the other episodes you'll see, I'm usually wearing Tales from a Concert Junkie. A lot of their shirts are support local music, mental health. One of my shirts that's become one of the most popular around is Life is Short, Buy the Tickets. And I have lived by that this year, and my wallet and bank account show it. So.
But think of all the memories and the fun you're having.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, we got to see a fight at a Billy Joel concert. That's the last. Haven't seen a fight at a single metal show. Not one fight.
Now,
Billy Joel.
Were they fighting over the fact that a song called Piano Man has more harmonica than it does piano, or what?
No, they were fighting over the fact that one of them was intoxicated hours before the show.
That'd do it.
It was two females in their mid to late 40s, 50s, if they're watching it, not like they're ever going to see this, but they literally just got into it, and the husbands are like trying to pull them apart, and we're all just watching going, here? Like, here is where you decided this would be a good idea. But no, we've seen Billy Joel and Sting with the Florida Orchestra, Santana and Counting Crows, Capstan, Cowboy Bebop Big Band. Oh, I know I'm forgetting so many. We've seen a lot just this year alone, and we've got the Aristocrats coming up on the 23rd, Taking Back Sunday on August 3rd. So my birthday, my fiance's birthday, we're both going to concerts. So
that's wicked.
I've got the King Crimson on September 28th. Under Oath is playing in December. One of the only bands that I've ever seen in my life that says, okay, we're coming on a Friday. Sells out the show. Okay, we're going to come on Saturday too. Sells out the show. Sunday, sells out the show. Monday, sells out the show. And I'm like, but that's what happens when you're a band from Spring Hill. They can all say Tampa, but Spring Hill. And they have that kind of pull. Wow. And again, I paid $35 a ticket to see a band like Under Oath, whereas I paid more for Taking Back Sunday, and I'm upset about it.
I've got a couple concerts lined up that I'm excited for. We got tickets to go see the Smashing Pumpkins at a local venue that
amazing
standing room, 1,000 people capacity. It's going to be wicked.
You're going to breathe the same air as Jimmy Chamberlain, like you're
basically, yep. and then the next night they're playing in Toronto. It's going to be Rancid opening for Green Day, opening for the Pumpkins.
Whew.
Like, yeah,
I don't know how
that's
a
lineup.
That one.
Yeah, and then the other one, which is the other side of the spectrum, is on my birthday this year, Pink is playing in Toronto. So Brian Fraser Moore, who plays with Pink, is also wears the jerseys, but is a super super nice dude, and I'm really looking forward to getting some hang time with him too.
I just want to break down every clip in the episode where you're like, also where's the jerseys? Also where's the jersey? And not in a bad way, but it's exciting, and it
really is. Yeah.
We talk about this, and we've talked about it so much, and like I said, we could go on forever, but thank you for what you do. You've brought a different medium to music with these jerseys. You've brought an artistry. You've brought, I feel like musicians are a little bit more in tune, and if the drummer's wearing it, other people are going to see it too. Because if the drummer can play in something, a guitar player who's not moving on stage, the jersey's not doing much for you. but somebody who is able to move and to
Mhm.
articulate and octopus it up is what I'm basically going to call it. It's impressive, and the amount
Well,
of,
and
like
that's
I said,
something you have to be able to do in these jerseys, right?
yeah,
You can't stay still when you're drumming, and you can't wear something that's kind of restrictive or constrictive. So that's one of the things with these jerseys is that they are really kind of movable.
like
So
anybody can see,
yeah,
like there's no restriction, and I know you're seeing the whites of my arms. I'm sorry, everybody, that's a little much, but um, you're bringing a different medium to it, and I truly do thank you for that. And I love that you're a musician, and like I said, you'll definitely would love to have you back. I don't think that's going to be an issue at all, and I'll make sure to grab some local craft beer and be ready for one of those Sunday nights. So,
amazing.
especially, I'm going to put the Kickstarter for Genesis in the bio when we release it. Should come out, probably it'll be out on Friday.
Amazing.
And
I appreciate that.
because it's our show and we want to support those who support us. So, we tell everybody like, share, subscribe, but really support the local people. The last 2 days have been Amazon Prime Day, and
Mhm.
I saw somebody, I think it was actually my mom who posted it, and she said, if only everybody was so gung ho about local business and supporting small business as they were about Amazon Prime Day, we'd be much better
Yep.
off. And I went, that
As
hit
a
in a
small
whole
business owner, I totally appreciate that.
different.
Yeah.
So, well, like I said, on behalf of myself, Dad, being a part of this podcast, and the DrumQuig was actually his Instagram name, and that's how we came up with this name.
Awesome.
Um, Tales of a Concert Junkie for supporting us, and jerseys for drummers. I almost said drummers for jerseys, and I was like, no, don't do that. We're gonna confuse people. But thank you to you for what you do, and I'm looking forward to the next talk, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Matt, very much. Say hi to your dad,
All right,
and I look forward to being on here again.
all right, sounds good, man. Hey guys, if you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe to the DrumQuig Podcast. Thank you so much.